Hey everybody, it's Rob here at etrailer.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the CURT Class 1 custom trailer hitch receiver on our 2018 Chevrolet Cruze. Now we know everybody wants to see what it looks like and go over some of the features first, so we're going to go ahead and do that now, but if you stick around to the end of the video, we're also going to make sure you can be confident enough to put the hitch on at home, so we'll go through the installation process together. But here's what our hitch is going to look like once we have it installed. The cross tube is going to sit right below the bumper, but it is tucked back a little bit, so the main thing we're going to see is the receiver tube. Now, it is a Class 1 hitch, which means it's going to give us that 1¼ by 1¼ receiver tube opening, and it's going to be good for things like light-duty towing if you have a small trailer that you pull, or if you want to take a couple bikes with you, you can put a bike rack in there, or possibly put in a smaller cargo carrier so you can make some room on the inside. But regardless of how you're going to be using your hitch, all of your accessories are going to mount to the hitch pin hole here on this side. Now the hitch is going to accept a standard 1/2" pin and clip. Now these aren't going to come with the hitch, but you can find them here at etrailer.com, along with some locking devices and anti-rattle devices to keep your accessories secure and to cut down on the annoying rattling sound coming from the receiver tube. But a few things to keep in mind if you are going to be towing with your hitch is that there is a specific drawbar or a ball mount that goes for our hitch, and it is going to be sold separately, but you can find it here at eTrailer. The other thing is you're going to have to hook up your safety chains. Here we're going to have a plate style. The connection points will be welded to the bottom of the receiver tube. We're going to have somewhat decent sized openings. Shouldn't have too much of a problem if you have normal size hooks. Be able to hook them on, take them off, not have to worry about any kind of interference or potentially hitting the bottom. And even at the same time, if you have those larger hooks, there's still plenty of room to get them hooked on, and again, not have to worry about any kind of interference. Now, whenever you're looking at a hitch, the weight capacity is going to play a big role because we need to make sure that it's up to the task that we put it to. And our CURT hitch here is going to have a 200-pound tongue weight. It's going to be the maximum downward force at the end of the receiver tube. Be able to carry a decent amount of stuff on a small cargo carrier, maybe carry 1-2 bikes with us on a bike rack. It's also going to have a 2,000-pound gross trailer weight rating. That's how much the hitch can pull, but keep in mind that does include the trailer and the load that we have on it. So with those numbers in mind, I do urge you to double check your Cruze's owner's manual because we don't want to exceed the manufacturer's rating. Now I'd like to give you a few measurements, and these are going to help you whenever you're looking for accessories for your new hitch, like a bike rack or a cargo carrier. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the outermost edge of the bumper is going to be right about 5 inches. Now that measurement is going to help when you're looking at folding accessories to make sure you have enough room to put them in the upright stored position and not make contact with the rear bumper. From the ground to the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening is going to be right about 12 inches. Now at that height, I definitely recommend a bike rack or a cargo carrier that has a raised shank. That way we can get a little bit better ground clearance out of it and not have to worry as much about bottoming out. But now that we've seen what our hitch looks like and gone over some of the features, let's go and bring in the shop and we can go through the installation process together. To begin our installation, we want to come to the back of our Cruze, and I'm going to be putting up a support strap because we need to lower our exhaust down. So I'm going to come just right about where the rear axle is, and we'll find a secure spot to hook our strap. And then I like to just tighten it up so there's a little bit of tension on the exhaust. Now we can follow the exhaust back all the way to the very back towards the bumper, and right at the tailpipe, if we look up, we'll find our isolator. Now, the easiest way to get these off is just to unbolt it from the bottom of the frame. We're going to have 2 bolts going straight up, so we'll grab a 13mm socket and pull both of those out. Once we have those bolts out, there's these little clips that are right above, in between the hanger, right here. Kind of just push out on that tab a little bit. We lift up. Should be able to get these tabs to break loose. That'll allow our exhaust to come down. Now directly above the muffler, we're going to have our heat shield. It's going to come down, and there's going to be a total of 3 of these speed nuts that are holding it on. Now you're not going to be able to actually get a wrench or a socket on there, but if you take a pair of needle nose pliers and come and put each part of the plier inside one of the holes and just use that to loosen it up, so we can twist it off. Then we pull the heat shield down. So we'll do the same thing for the other 2 speed nuts and take those down as well. And once you have all 3 loose, pull our heat shield down. Just keep in mind over here by the wheel well, our heat shield is actually clipped to the liner, so we may have to move the exhaust just a little bit. Got a couple clips. Kind of just get your hand and you can just kind of work those clips down, push them out of the way. That way we can get the exhaust moved, pull the heat shield down. Now we are going to have to trim this, and once we have it trimmed, we can reinstall it and get going on the rest of our install. So I went ahead and marked out the area that needs to be trimmed. It's basically going to be that area that's covering up the frame rail. So if we come to this little tapered section right here, right by that one mounting point, we're just going to come straight up and then kind of follow along that curve going towards the corner, and we're going to be removing this entire section. Now I'm going to use a pair of tin snips to cut this out. It's pretty thin metal, but you just want to take your time, trim this out, and then we can get it reinstalled. So now that we have our 2 pieces cut, we're actually going to be keeping the piece that we marked. So this piece we cut out, but this is what's going to be going back right against the trunk here, so that our frame rail is nice and open. But obviously, since we only have 1 attachment point, we're only going to use 1 of those speed nuts, and you should just be able to take your hand, slide it over the stud, and twist it on by your finger. Just be careful, it is a little bit sharp around those edges. So now we're going to start over on our passenger side frame rail, and we're going to start getting our hardware in place. And if we come back to the very back of the frame rail here, right where the bumper starts, you're going to see that we have several holes going all along the bottom edge here. If we start at that small round hole, we're going to move forward towards the front of the car. The first large round hole right by this short stud will be 1 mounting location. Then we're going to skip forward past these 2, and the next one in line with that one is going to be our other mounting location. Now getting the hardware in place is fairly easy. We're going to take our pull wire. We'll slide a square hole spacer block right over the edge. And we'll take our bolt, thread it onto the bolt leader. Then 1 piece at a time, we're going to put the hardware into the frame, push the bolt in, kind of push it out of the way, push the block in, then we're going to drop the bolt down so it comes down through the block. Now it's going to be the same way we're going to get our other pieces of hardware in, and this 2 pieces of hardware on the other side as well. Now with the next set of hands, we're going to lift our hitch up. We're going to put our pull wires down from the top. Then we'll lift our hitch up to where the holes in the frame line up with the holes in the hitch. Once we have it up, we're going to remove 1 of the pull wires. We're going to grab a flange nut, and each one of the bolts coming down is going to get 1 of these. Just want to be kind of careful when you're starting it, not to push the bolts into the frame. Kind of use your thumb, your finger, or something, push it to the side. Just to get it started, it'll help trap it. We can get it loosely secured. Now I suggest getting 1 of these on each side so the hitch will support itself. Then we can work on getting the rest of the hardware in. Then we can come back with an 11/16 socket, and we're going to snug up all the flange nuts. I'm going to come back with a torque wrench. I'm going to torque all my hardware down to the specified amount in the instructions. You're going to make sure you go back and repeat that for all your remaining hardware. Then we can lift our exhaust back up. I like to get it pretty close, tightening up that strap. You're going to line up the studs and then re-secure it with the hardware. Then finally we can remove the strap, and that'll finish up your installation and your look at the CURT Class 1 custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2018 Chevrolet Cruze.